morning, Jody.
Pat Fischer of Adrian, Michigan.
Yes, yes.
Of happy memories at Catholic Central here in
Yes,
Adrian.
Catholic Central.
What was life like there?
Well, I was at St. Joseph Grade School and then at Catholic Central High School, and it was all our sisters.
Amen. What more could you ask for?
That's right. And they were happy. They really were.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
it really struck you. You know. So.
Was it the high school just founded, or how did that come about? Do you remember?
St. Joseph's and St. Mary's both had high schools. You know, in
their own parishes.
In their own parishes, and they were small, and they closed, I think, around 1945, and then 1943 probably is when Catholic Central was started, and it lasted almost 20 years.
Oh my.
And
so the St. Joseph
they
merged.
So the two high schools merged together.
And that building's still there, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's a senior center now.
Oh my.
The Piotr Center. And they deliver Meals on Wheels there. They have exercise classes, a library, all kinds of things there.
Oh my. How lucky are you to see the place again?
Yes, yes.
Have you walked through it, I presume?
I have a couple of times, yes, yes, yeah.
And what's your parish here in town?
I grew up at St. Joseph, but I tend to go to St. Mary's. I like their, the oblates are wonderful preachers.
Yes.
The music is wonderful, and the church is full, and they sing.
Amen. Amen.
So when I'm not at St. Catherine's, I'm there.
Yes.
So.
Well, before you returned to Adrian, I know you were by reputation in Fenton, Michigan, forever and ever. Is that not true?
Well, I wasn't going to stay too long to get attached. And after a few years, that didn't matter. So I was there 29 years.
20. Do they have a statue for you or
no? But there's a Sister Patricia Fischer playground.
Oh. Well, that's fitting.
Yes, isn't it though?
Well, what was this school like when you arrived?
Well, it had been an IHM school, and it was first through 8th grade, about 250 children. And I had a very tiny little office, and
a pleasant pastor?
Yes, actually we had one pastor, then a couple of years later we had another one, and then in 1979 Father David Harvey came, and so the classes began to grow, and we had a waiting list. People even called after the children were born to get them on the waiting list.
First grade.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
did you ever have a kindergarten?
We eventually added a kindergarten, and then we bought some portable units from Holy Family and Grand Blanc because they had used them and they had expanded. So we filled those, and the parish had a capital campaign. So the school was added on to a lot. So that was a wonderful experience. I have a hard hat. My own hard hat from Rhodes and Johnson, and it says Sister Pat.
For all the building that went on.
Yes, because you had to have them when you went through that. Yes. But so when I left, we had 450, something like that, children.
Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing.
So it was planned to go through double grades through 8th grade, and it was double through 6th grade when I left.
Beautiful.
But we worked as a pastoral team. We met every other Monday, or maybe every Monday morning, I don't remember. And then we met again at 4:30 to talk about liturgy for the following Sunday.
That's unusual.
It was wonderful.
Were you the only sister?
I was in the school. By that point, when I first went there, Sister Eileen Suva was there. Sister Carol Weber and I came together. And Eileen took us on a tour. and we drove around, Fenton Small.
Yeah.
So we wound up in Flushing, and I saw the sign for Flushing. I burst out laughing. My father was a plumber, so it struck me really funny. But anyway, Carol taught some religious ed and then a couple classes in school. Eileen did religious ed, and she helped me learn how to be a principal because I'd never been that.
Oh my. She was in your life several times.
Yes, she
not?
was. I lived with her, and she helped me pick out my religious name. And then she taught.
Were you out as a postulant? Is that it?
Yes, student teaching.
Oh.
And we were ironing, and we were talking about it, and so she suggested Janice Ann, and I liked it. I have a sister Janice, a sister Nancy, and that's kind of a derivative.
Kind of an Ann.
Yes, and my sister Sue was in 4th grade, so she could take it as a confirmation name, So I'd have all 3 of them. So.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So you're known as Sister Janice Ann.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a very, very beautiful name. Was it difficult for you to make the changes around the time of Vatican II?
No, that was great.
Yes.
Because in those days, we were back in the summer
Yes.
on campus taking classes. I think the last time I ever went to school full-time was high school. We were always working and going to school.
Yeah, in the summertime, right?
And sometimes during the year.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
So after 29 years,
yes.
what happened?
It was an emotional leave-taking.
Oh.
Joella Miller called me and asked me to come to Weber Center as a director. And ironically, I had interviewed at Weber before you came.
Yes. Yes.
Which is ironic.
Yes, that was in the 80s. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So I had a frantic weekend just thinking about it and how would I ever move, And at that point, I was alone in the convent.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, just the thought of, because they probably wanted you yesterday.
Well, yes. So I finally said, there's no way in the middle of March you could find a principal. We worked too hard. Schools financially have challenges, obviously, and you've got to have. Besides tuition, we had an endowment fund, we had a scholarship fund. So, besides parish support.
Yes, wow.
So,
And to bring those to a closure or handing them on was...
That's right, that's right. So I told her we couldn't find a principal that fast. And so I felt much relieved that the matter was settled. And then I got another contact. Well, how about the following year? And I thought, I've been had. So I wrote a letter and I asked to see the pastor, and it was near Palm Sunday. And so I had a year to prepare. One of the things I did was clean out all of the stuff from the office, which I should have done for myself instead of for someone else, But that's one of the things you do.
There's always something more important.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. And
so thank you for your service at Weber. How many years was that?
4 years, and I really felt that we were just coming into our own. I like to work as a team, and we had the right group of people, and we're really moving forward. And I got a call from Sister Rosa Monique, who was my contact, that she and Sister Donna wanted to see me.
Sister Donna Markham.
Yes.
So Rosa was like the liaison for
That's
the
right.
General Council.
Yes. So all I could think of was, I'm not moving. I just got here. So I went, And Sister Donna can be very persuasive. And her concern for the academy, and the principal had left and they didn't want it to close. And I asked questions and they didn't know the answers, school questions.
We're talking about St. Joseph Academy on campus here.
That's right, that's right, that's right, that's right. So all I could think of was, I can't say I don't know what to do. So I said yes. And I remember Sister Jana said, "You will?" And I thought, wasn't that the point? So anyway, I didn't have to move. I just moved offices.
Right across the campus.
That's right.
Right,
That's right.
yes.
That's right.
Well, God bless you. The community owes you a great deal of gratitude, Pat, for not only your time at the academy, but bringing closure. Can you share a little bit about the pain and joy, or if there was any?
Well, I never, when you believe in Catholic education, closing a Catholic school is tough.
Amen.
So, anyway, it obviously stunned the faculty.
Did it stun you?
No.
How did that come about?
No, because Sister Corinne Sanders was my liaison, and she kept asking for information, financial information, and enrollment. And one of the things when I first went there, I went back through our historical records and made a 25-year history of enrollment. And the enrollment at the academy fluctuated. Grades would start, then they would up, down, and then they'd start again. And it started as a high school, and then Montessori, and then the high school closed, and then grade school started, and they added grades. So there was a lot of fluctuation. Plus, most of the people were from the Adrian area or Lenawee County. And Adrian is always, when the economy goes down, Adrian's particularly hard hit. And so families leave because of work. And so so the enrollment was down. When I went there, they had just closed the middle school across the street. And we had the Montessori through 8th grade. The 8th grade was very small. I think there were 5 students, boys.
Right.
And then when we did registration for the following year, the 7th and 8th left. And then it was through 6th.
Oh, boy.
Then 5th, then through 4th.
That was around 2008, when everybody was affected by the financial
Yes,
disasters.
yes, yeah. And it really did. And, we wound up having some children with some special needs. I'm not trained in that, and the staff isn't. When they're younger, like toddlers and that kind of thing, you could kind of handle a little bit of that. But when they're a little bit older, it's tough academically to meet their needs. So
Was the Montessori program affected by enrollment also?
We gave out a lot of scholarship money, which is why I think the academy lasted as long as it did. We didn't have a separate fund, so it came out of operational budget. So if your projected budget, you were a little bit in the hole. By the time you gave out scholarship money, we were really in the hole. And the congregation was the one supporting it.
Yeah.
So
You felt sorry for the teachers, though, I bet.
I did. And I think the Montessori teachers were stunned because they thought they were holding their own. But when you look at figures, and which obviously everybody didn't have. So we had, one of the things I do in schools is I'm there in the morning when the kids come in. Good morning, and welcome them. That's just something that I've always done that I think is important. Good way to start the day. So
How did you get the news that the congregation was suggesting the closure?
Corinne had told me 3 weeks before it was announced. And then she came, we had a faculty meeting, and she announced it. And
Tough
then,
job.
yeah. And then I had to call the board. We had a lay board that met. And I don't remember if we had a substitute teacher that day or not, but I had to contact anybody. So everybody had the word at the same time. But they were totally stunned and in shock, really. So about in April, I sent an email out to the schools in the Diocese of Lansing, the elementary schools, and told them that the high school science lab was very well equipped. Beakers and scales and all kinds of things that they could come and whatever they could use, they were welcome to have. Well, they were thrilled. They came from an hour and a half, 2 hours away.
My.
It was like Christmas.
You were beginning to divest, right?
That's right.
Well, that was a major project.
It was. And then a few of our sisters came to my rescue, saved my sanity. Pat Johnson and Noreen O'Connell came. They came every 2-3 weeks, stayed a couple of days, and they went through every student record in the file. So since the academy started in 1896, it's the high school, and there was nothing on computer, everything was paper.
Right.
So they went through every single one. And then Julianne Woolney, she went through every staff. So even if a person had been there for 2 weeks during summer camp, they had a file. So they took care of all of that. So I didn't need to deal with that because school was still in session. And then in May, we had a big celebration. And people came we had a couple that came from Chicago. Their mother had been at the academy when it was in Madden Hall.
Oh, my heavens.
So I took them to Madden Hall to show them. And they wanted to know, well, was there a sample bedroom? Not anymore.
There are offices.
You know, we use our spaces over and over for different purposes. So, and then I started contacting people to see if there was anything that they were interested in. The Croswell got some floodlights and some other things that they could use, and eventually a trunk. The academy's a big building, and the whole 4th floor was full of, there was a kiln that went to Siena Heights. There were decorations and chairs and desks and all kinds of stuff. So
It was like the attic, right?
it was like the attic, and everything had to be carried up from 3rd floor because the elevator only went to 3rd, and the attic was 4th floor. So, but the Boys and Girls Club,
Probably Goodwill and Salvation.
Salvation Army was there a lot.
What did you do with all the books? I mean, weren't there...
Well, there were a lot of books. Any that anybody wanted, they could take, but some of them, because they didn't really throw much away, some of the books were really too old to be used, and there were sample books still in plastic wrap that had never been opened. You know, when you get things and you get busy and you forget about it and you have space, you put it in a closet. So there was even a box of rocks up in the science lab.
Did you say wax?
Rocks, a box.
Oh, my heavens.
Yeah, it was a good sized box. So anyway, so Goodwill came and they picked up 17 boxes of books. I mean, they were from the 1970s. You can't, they're not old enough to be of value, and they were reading books mostly, and math books, you know, the things of school, grade schools. And then they came again for another 16, 17 boxes.
Of books.
of books.
Amen.
So they could donate those and get money for their programs. So I felt really good about, there was a Christian church in town called Element, and they had a small school. So they came, they got some tables and chairs. Clinton Schools was starting a preschool, so they came, and plus the Montessori parents and teachers were going to move to another site, a smaller site, so they needed their materials.
Everything. That's great.
But there were duplicates of a lot of things, so.
Are you amazed and thrilled of how the academy is being used, the building is being used today?
Oh, it's wonderful.
Yes.
It is just wonderful. When they had the open house, and the education students were already in session.
Well, explain where the education students come from.
They're from Siena Heights.
Nice.
So Siena, and actually Siena Heights reading people, they came because the school also had a library. And so they decided what they could use, in their teacher education programs. So the academy, the bottom floor is our literacy center, and there's a half gym, and that's the Montessori teacher education program with Sister Leonore, where they have a sample classroom and lecture part.
My.
So that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And that part is probably the least affected when the pipes in the attic burst.
You were out of the building
Yes,
by
yes,
that time.
yes.
And
yes.
it was the fourth floor pipes?
Yes. It was a real cold year. It was the year after the academy closed. And I had finally finished in October, and then I took some things home and went back and forth. So I think it was around in January. And gratefully, Sister Leonore was still in the building because the water cascaded down from all the way. She was on first floor. And the water cascaded down from the attic all the way down. And gratefully, Sister Corinne Sanders, and I'm not sure who helped her, got all of the records out of the offices.
Oh, boy.
I mean, they were in files, but they would.
Because you had just closed, correct?
Yes. And everything was really nice. Everything was very tidy,
Ready to go.
Well, and Siena Heights knew that they were going to use the building. In fact, Sister Sharon Weber had brought professors over a couple different times looking at things, and there was so much space. They loved it, So the education department is on the first floor, and it's been renovated. They have technology, bathrooms, adult bathrooms.
Not those low seats.
Well, and when you have an older building, after a while, when something goes wrong, the maintenance, they kind of have to make do because you can't find new parts. So
That company that came and cleaned up after
ServPro, yes.
The work that they did,
And they were there a lot, and there was, of course, no heat in the building because it was steam heat.
They were impressed with the building itself, weren't they?
Yes, they were. The person in charge of it talked with Jennifer Hunter, the campus administrator, and he said it's the most well-built school building he's ever been in. And they have done a lot of buildings. So it's a wonderful building. And I'm so thrilled it's being used.
Yes, and to see the Siena Heights University students walking back and forth and entering that, it's still being used for education.
Yes, it is.
Yes, and the literacy center and the Montessori program.
Well, and it fits in with the history because St. Joseph Academy, there was always change.
Amen.
So, which is part of life.
Part of our life, for sure.
Part of our lives. Part of all of our lives.
So you didn't leave Adrian after the flood, then?
No. I had some time, and I went with my sister Sue. She was moving to Arizona, So off we went in the car with the dog in the back seat in a small car to Arizona because she has grandchildren there.
Oh,
So-
lovely. Well, that was a nice trip, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
So it was like having a sabbatical.
It was a short one, and then I knew I needed to do something, so I talked to Candy Strine in Madden Hall and asked if she ever needed anyone at Madden Desk. I was free. And so I started doing that, and then I wound up doing working in the development office.
Yes.
And then somebody else suggested that maybe I might like to work in finance and do the bank over here at Maria.
Oh my.
So
now you have three positions.
and then once a month, I count money down at Monday mornings at 8 o'clock. Count money down at St. Joseph Parish. It's my contribution to the parish that I grew up in.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
Well, that must be a thinner and thinner congregation.
Well, it is. It is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the parishes are clustering, and
It's not as easy as it sounds.
there's a long history in both parishes. Our sisters were, I believe, at St. Mary's in 1879,
Wow.
and no, pardon me, 1879, and 1880 at St. Joseph.
My.
In fact, the pastor had requested the Adrian Dominican Sisters. So
We honor that history, don't we?
yes, we do.
Yes,
Yes, we
yeah.
do.
Pat, as you look back over your life, I know you have some relatives living in your sisters out west.
Yes, and one sister's in Lambertville, which is only 40 minutes. It's Michigan, near Toledo. And then my sister Nancy and brother-in-law are here in Adrian.
Do you have family reunions?
We get together. There's not usually a quiet space. we used
Fisher
to
family.
we used to when Sue and before there were a lot of grandchildren, we
Yeah.
used to get together at Bill Knapp's in Ann Arbor on
Yes.
Carpenter Road and
Right.
Washtenaw for lunch, and we would be there several hours. And they finally learned they put us off in the section because we didn't leave for a while.
Well, that was
But
nice.
non-stop talking. I mean,
Well,
it's
as
just
you
fun.
look back through your life, who stands out as someone that was really an inspiration for you in your life?
I think Sister Joan Donovan, when I first went to St. Joseph at Homewood, she was the principal and superior.
Were you the postulant then?
No, it was after my final profession. I was sent there on the train with Sister Benedicta Marie and Sister Dorothy.
Oh my. So you got to where you were supposed to go.
Yes, we spent the night at Aquinas High School in Chicago. And of course, with the two
Yeah.
important people coming, they all waited up for us. And then there was me. So,
Well, you're fortunate to have Sister Joan Donovan of happy memory, right?
yes, she was wonderful. She was a woman ahead of her time. There were 16 or 17 of us, and she really brought a unity and a vitality, and she trusted us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you went to the store and you had 30 cents change, you could keep it. It was like, oh, I don't know what I'll do with it. I'll keep it.
Well, candy bar.
Yes. So she was very wonderful. And then actually, in grade school, I had Sister Marie Edith Kavanaugh,
Yes.
and she was a great storyteller. She told about when our sisters left the colegio in Santo Domingo. And one of the stories that I remember, I love stories,
Yes.
that they wrapped the American flag around themselves under their habits. But it was so hot, it bled through.
Oh no.
But she was a great storyteller.
Yeah.
And at that point, I became Irish by osmosis in 5th grade.
Oh, you had her in 5th grade?
Yes,
Oh
yes.
my heavens.
Yes.
Did
I
you
must-
ever have any of the Weber sisters?
Sister Mary Frances was the principal at
Mary
Adrian
Frances
Catholic Central.
Weber, yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yeah, yes. They were wonderful women. They truly were. You know, our sisters, there's a vitality
And a joy.
and a joy. And they liked each other. You could, you know, observing, you could tell that. You know, and certainly as a child in high school, you notice things like that.
You must observe that today among our
I do.
retired sisters.
I do.
Yes. And
I
it's
do.
a joy to have your presence among us.
Well, I'm thrilled to be back in Adrian.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
it's wonderful. It's a little far from some places, but
Yes.
but
You're at home.
I'm at home, and both family-wise and congregation-wise.
Yes.
You know, so it's wonderful. It really is.
Well, again, I'm sure I join with the whole congregation in thanking you for bringing such beautiful and gracious closure to the Academy.
Thank you.
And, of course, your work at Weber, too, but the Academy stands out, and it lives on.
And it lives
Lives
on.
on, yes.
Do you know, Sister Rosemary Ferguson has told me numerous times, saying that
Her gratitude.
that it was closed gracefully.
Indeed.
You know, and in situations like that, you try to do it as best as you can with as much joy as you can, because the people are sad.
Yes.
And so I continue to welcome,
Yeah.
and you just continue with what you're doing, living one day at a time,
Yes.
and taking the hurdles as they come.
Amen. Thank you, Pat. God
Oh, you're
bless you.
welcome.